Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the Sky channel. Now this video is another one on the Whale series. Essentially in this series I share the builds of some of the biggest spenders in the Ants Underground Kingdom because I know that is something that a lot of people are really curious about. And of course, given that a lot of these biggest spenders are my friends, I thought I would be in a good position to help with that curiosity of some of our viewers. So I hope you really enjoyed this one as well. This one is Wu. If you were following our videos on the Barren Land that just completed some time ago, you would remember him as the Wolf of KDA. He gathered over 10 billion kills from that one Barren Land, was extremely active, and of course is a very strong account. So let's start looking at Wu's build. And of course, a good place to start would be the genetics, and let's start with the cells. Now, just by looking at this, you can see that it is extremely impressive. You're looking at level 35 cells, and all of them are evolved to level 50. I have barely ever seen cells that are so high level and so evolved. You can also see that the cell ascent is at level 5. Clearly, a lot of focus and a lot of money have gone into getting these cells to such a powerful state. You can also see the specifics of the cell ascent. You're looking at about 10% extra damage, of course 50 combat speed, but also a 7% skill resistance, and a bunch of other smaller buffs. And then let's take a look at his genes. Of course, all of the genes are maxed out, just as all of his cells were maxed out as well. The cells were all 2 red stars, which is pretty much the maximum. And here the genes are 5 red stars, which is the maximum for genes. And you can see that the levels here are level 28 for the one that gives shooter and attack. The one that gives health is at level 24, and the one that gives defense for shooters is at level 23. You can also see the priority of evolution is fairly similar. The first one that he's prioritizing is the shooter and attack. That one is level 23 in the evolution, while the others are at level 20. So the priority is shooter and attack, then health, and then defense. And on the other pages you can see something similar. The levels are similar as well, maybe 1 or 2 off, but the priorities remain the same across the different genes. You can also see here that the ascent is at level 3, which basically means that cells were the highest priority because that one was already level 5. Let's take a look at the germs. You can see that all of them are of course maxed out as well, and you can see the priorities are fairly similar. The attack ones are the highest leveled and highest evolved. Following that is the health for shooters and then defense for shooters. The ascent is also at level 3 here. Now let's go to the fungi. The first page is of course maxed out at level 15, and if you look at the little fungi at the top, you can see that he did prioritize skill attack and skill defense the most and managed to get it to level 18. Now actually I didn't know that you could get it past level 15, which is the maximum level of the fungi, but apparently you can. And then after skill attack and skill defense, the secondary priority seems to be shooter and attack, and then the others are health and defense, which seem to be lower level. You can also see that he did manage to evolve the fungi to level 33, which is quite impressive. The second fungi is also maxed out at level 18. You can see that the priorities remain fairly consistent, with skill attack and skill defense being the highest priority. Following that is shooter and attack, and then health and defense. The second one is also evolved to level 33. The third one is also maxed out at level 21. The priorities remain similar. And of course, the evolution is to level 34. Finally, the last one is at level 24, which is also maxed out. The evolution level is level 34, and of course the priorities remain similar. And if you take a quick look at the bottom, you can see that you're looking at a pretty nice amount of stat bonuses that you're getting, like 55% Guardian Ant Attack, 85.75% Shooter Ant Attack, 52% Carrier Ant Attack, and then of course you can see similar numbers for defense and health ranging between 20 to 35% for this specific fungi. You can also see that the fungi ascent is at level 3. So that covers his genetics. Extremely impressive. As you can imagine, a lot of money went into getting the genetics to this point. Next up, let's take a look at the ants, and you can see a bunch of ants with red stars. Some of the interesting ones include Emerald Jewel Ant, which is already 8 star, one that was released fairly recently, but of course is really powerful in both PvP and PvE. You can also see Saharan Silver Ant is there as well at 7 star, another one that's helpful in both PvP and PvE, and it's currently part of the meta along with the Emerald Jewel Ant. And of course, the row 1 meta is Black Knight, the Guardian Ant. It's also at 8 star. Now let's take a look at the mutations. You can see a bunch of them are purple, and of course the skill attack and skill defense ones are at level 49. Skill attack going to the Emerald Jewel Ant, which is of course a good choice for skill attack. Skill defense going with Black Knight, and then there is the attack one, which is at level 48, being given to Saharan Silver Ant. You can also see that to upgrade from level 49 to level 50, which is basically an orange mutation, you need to have at least 8 at level 49. In addition to that, you need about 4,500 regular spores and 16 supreme spores and a few orange shells. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at his reforms. The Guardian Ant Reform Corporation is at 40 star, giving him a reasonable amount of bonuses there, but if you look at his regular reforms, they're around level 55. And at that level, he's getting about 230% attack, 230% defense, and about 92% health. Now when you go to his rare reforms for Guardians, you can see that he has both of them at level 3. One of them gives a skill defense of 15%, while the other one is giving 15% attack, 15% defense, and 6% health for your ants. Move along to the shooters. You can see it's fairly similar. The regular forms are at level 55. The attack one is level 56 though, and the cooperation is still 40 stars. And of course, since the attack one is at level 56, he's getting a 238% attack instead of 230, so the one level gave an 8% extra attack. The rest remains fairly similar with 230% defense and 92% health. In the rare reforms, you can see that he put the attack and skill attack in there. Both of them are level 2, so we're looking at a 30% attack and 10% skill attack. Finally, if you go to the carriers reforms, you can see that these are the ones that are not prioritized. Of course, the carrier attack one is at a high level, so it's at level 54, almost level 55, but the others are at level 40 and 41. You could also see that the Reform Corporation is at 36 star. That being said, of course, he has to get that to 40 before he can level the other reforms beyond level 40. So Shooter and Guardian seems to be his priority. Carriers, he only focused primarily on the attack, probably to help him get higher pangolin scores. Now let's go take a look at his insects, and you can see that his insects are extremely high level. One of them is at level 95, which is his gladiator mantis, and the second one is at level 93, which is the new guardian insect that was recently released. He also has a third one, which is a rainbow scarab, which is level 80. And you could already see by the levels that if he has 2 insects that are above level 90, he's probably spent a lot of money on insect leveling, because it isn't cheap to get even 1 insect beyond level 90, let alone 2. You could also see that he did prioritize 2 insects and got them to similar levels instead of just focusing on 1. And of course, if he had done so, he could easily have gotten that 1 insect to level 100. The point in prioritizing 2 insects and keeping them similar level probably suggests that he has 2 very strong units and he likes to use them both in battles. Now if you go into his gladiator mantis, you can see that he is using the spider skin, and if you go into the talents, you can see that his priority has been focusing on the right tree, but of course he did utilize the bottom tree to get some skill attack and skill defense, and a little bit on the left tree to get some more attack. And here you can see that the insect talent ascent is at level 29, giving him an additional 29% bonus in all types of damage. Getting it to level 30 needs another one of the creature ambers, so it's good to know that it doesn't increase the amount of creature amber required to keep on leveling this up further. It does remain as 1. Now, if you quickly take a look at the other insect, you can see that his priority there has been in the bottom tree and a little bit on the right tree as well. And this is how he allocated the new star function that was made available as well. Moving along, if you go to the hunting ground, you can see that he's at level 77, which is extremely high. But of course, it's not that surprising given the sort of insects that he has. Moving along, let's go to his awakening. You can see a bunch of them have been unlocked. You can see that the Crimson Pearl and Proata's awakening is maxed out at level 40, while Lathy Sniffer is at around level 30, and then there's a bunch that are around level 20. And you can see there are 4 awakenings that he hasn't unlocked. Well, technically 3, because one of them is currently not really available, which is basically the Black Knight awakening. You can also see by the way it's been leveled that he probably leveled up the ones that do a lot of damage in Pangolin to get the extra boost in attack as well as the extra abilities. Moving along to the treasure depot, you can see that the cave treasures are pretty much all maxed out at level 20. And of course the golden treasure seems to be giving 50% extra health and 15% critical resistance at level 20. And if we move over to the island treasures, you can see that while one of them is maxed out at level 20, the all soldiers attack one is at 18, while the others are around level 15 or level 16, which is quite impressive because it means that he is close to maxing this out as well. You can also see how expensive it is to upgrade these treasures. For example, the orange treasure needs about 3,600 treasure clay, 720 of the treasure items, as well as 440 Moonlight Essence to go from level 15 to level 16. Of course, he's looking at a boost of 4% health and about 0.7% bonus skill defense. When you go to his evolution, you can see that of course he's unlocked all 3 T10s. I believe he did spend a bunch of money on creature remains to get there as fast as possible. And if you look down below, his excellence enhance is about 68% as well. Now let's go take a look at Wu's evolution Meteorite. Starting with the Pioneer evolution, you can see all of them are at level 30, and it's golden evolution, which means he still has to upgrade them to red, but the levels are maxed out, so the only thing remaining is the ascent. You can also see the overall ascent of the Pioneer is at level 4, and getting it to level 5 increases the skill attack and skill defense by 0.5%. That being said, the combat speed remains 50 after level 3, so no change in combat speed there. You can also see the crazy buffs that he's getting from this Pioneer Ascent, essentially looking at about 78% health bonuses and about 193% attack and defense bonuses. Moving over to the Explorer evolution, you can see that a lot of them are at level 25. The overall defense one is at level 24, and of course the carrier one is the least prioritized at level 20. The overall ascent here is also level 3, which means that he's getting the maximum of 50 combat speed from the Explorer Ascent as well. Finally, we can go over to the Trailblazer evolution, which is fairly recent, but nevertheless, he did manage to get that one to green already, which is quite impressive. Okay, now let's take a look at how he organizes his units. You can see that the first 2 units are both reasonably strong with those high-level insects that we saw before. So his pro unit is the Gladiator Mantis, and it uses Black Knight, Emerald Jewel Ant, as well as Sahara and Silver Ant, while his second unit, the one that uses the new Guardian insect at level 93, is using both the Guardian Jungle Ants and Hairy Panther in the back line. This, in my opinion, is the current meta for Guardians. Let's go to his Anthill Skin star, and you can see that he already has the Winged Red Star, which is extremely cool. And over here, you can see that that's actually not the final level. There is another one that you can get, which is an even brighter red star, which I believe nobody has unlocked as of this point. Now, I'm sure everyone's curious about his stats, so now we're going to go to one of the mine reports and check out his stats from there. So this is using his pro unit with Black Knight, Emerald Jewel Ant, and Sahara and Silver Ant, and there you have it. Extremely impressive stats. We're looking at around 2700% Guardian attack, 2600 Guardian Ant defense, 230% Guardian Ant skill attack, 237% Guardian Ant skill defense, 1170% Guardian Ant health, and 975 combat speed. Going to his shooters, you can see that his shooter and attack is close to 3100%. Shooter and defense is about 25-50%. Shooter and skill attack is about 240. Shooter and skill defense is close to 205%. And his shooter and health is about 1043%. Combat speed is 935. Of course, by looking at his build, it should be no surprise that his shooter and attack is the highest of his stats because that's the one that he has prioritized. Absolutely crazy stats, right? He has over 3000% attack, and these are mind stats. These are not coming from the Barren Land or Lost Island or Vast Jungle where you have all those crazy buffs. These are base buffs that he has in mines. It's no surprise that he's sitting at over 60 billion kills as of now. And of course, the burning question, how much did he spend on his account to get it to where it is today? And well, his approximate spend on his account is about $400,000. You heard that right, $400,000 spent on the account to get it to where it is today. That is quite a big number. And since I still have you here, I do want you to know that you can get between 10 to 35% bonus on in-game purchases in the Ants Underground Kingdom. All you need to do is follow the steps that I've laid out in the video below on how you can avail those bonuses. Keep in mind that you need to use our promo code when making purchases. The current promo code is SKY7, which is going to be valid until August 7th. At that point, I'll provide you with another promo code so you can continue getting these amazing bonuses. If you have any questions, feel free to join our Discord channel and we can guide you through the process. And that covers Wu's build. If you liked the video, please like it, please subscribe to our channel, comment below on what you think about his build, and also let us know who else you'd like to see in the Avail series. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.